Today I'm going to be going through the lesson plan for the introductory lesson to CBA1. So this is done in the second year of school. There are 3 topics from which the student can choose to do. They can do 1, Enterprise in Action, 2, Economics in Action, or 3, Finance in Action. The CBA1 relates to many learning outcomes of the Junior Cert curriculum, and depending on which topic is chosen, the student will cover the following learning outcomes. Further information can be found on the website Curriculum Online, which can be accessed through this link. So students have already chosen to do 1, Enterprise in Action, based on their interests of the topics covered in that section. This will be done over a 3-week period, and students will be asked to research in order to assess the feasibility of their idea. They will then analyse and evaluate their research findings and put it into a project. So students will have a lot of prior knowledge and understanding of the topics regardless of which one they chose. So students will have covered aspects of enterprise, economics and finance, which will give them the foundations to complete the CBA. They would also have knowledge from every topic from hearing stories on the news and from case studies completed in first year and second year. Students will have the opportunity to upskill their literacy and numeracy skills, which can be seen on screen. The materials used during the lesson, the teacher will be using a PowerPoint, notes, Microsoft Teams, a laptop and the template checklist for CBA and what, so what, now what. Students will be using their copies and pens, their notes, their book, their examples of previous CBAs and the templates. So the aims for the lesson, I will introduce the CBA, I will provide a detailed summary of what the CBA requires, I will identify the key areas of the CBA, and I will provide an example of previous CBAs. So the learning outcomes, students will be able to explain what a CBA is, they'll be able to understand the 5 stages required to complete the project, they'll be able to develop an idea for the CBA, and they will create a brief plan in their teams on how to execute the project. So students' learning progress will be assessed throughout the lesson. It'll be done formatively and summatively. So formatively, there'll be questioning during the lesson, there'll be tasks, and there'll be clarification. And summatively, students will be assessed upon completion of the CBA, using the key features of quality outlined by the NCCA, which can be viewed through this link. So for the lesson will open using a hook, and it'll have a slide on screen which will say, what do you think a CBA is? This will grab the students' attention and get them thinking. To introduce the CBAs, you will state that for the next 3 weeks, students will start to think and act like entrepreneurs. So for the body of the lesson, using a PowerPoint, the learning intentions of the lesson will be listed. Then a sample of the CBA will be shown, and student will be able to use this sample as a guide in the future. So you will then recap on enterprise and recap on the marketing mix, and for the marketing mix you'll be asking them questions. You'll then move on to explain what is involved in enterprise and action, and students will note that they have a choice, so they can either research and develop a marketing mix for a product or service, or they can do the same for an enterprise event or an activity. Students will get the opportunity to decide which one they will choose later on in the lesson. So then you'll move on to outlining the 5 steps that students will need to do to complete the project. And you will then inform students on the risks of researching online. All students are required to watch the YouTube video, which will be seen in the PowerPoint, about online safety in their own time. We'll then move on and show the timeline of the CBA, and it'll show what each lesson will consist of for the next 3 weeks. Students will then be informed that they are to complete a reflection at the end of the CBA, and after each lesson, students will be required to fill in the template what, so what, now what, which can be found on the website. We'll then move on and tell the students what groups they are in. This will be decided before the lesson to avoid any arguments, and special care should be taken when choosing the groups. It's best to choose mixed ability groups, and they will be in groups of 4. Then you'll put the students in their groups into breakout rooms and ask each student to come up with 1 idea for the CBA. Students in the breakout rooms will select a speaker to share their ideas. During this time, the teacher will be going into all breakout rooms and ensuring that the students are talking about the task and take any questions. Upon coming back from the breakout rooms, each student will have a chance to share their idea through the speaker in their team, and the teacher will take down their 4 ideas for each group for reference. To close the lesson, you'll highlight the homework for the students, which will be for students to decide on the best idea out of the 4, to create a brief plan on how to execute the project, and to read through the sample CBA that was shown and write a short paragraph on what that CBA is about. You'll then inform students that they can submit any questions on the website, which is missbarrysbusinessnotes.weebly.com. But before that, if they could check the FAQ section to make sure that their question hasn't been already answered. And if it hasn't, they can contact me through the contact section of the website and fill in the form.